Hello, McDonald's Football Fan TV. This is the live watch-along Europa League Dundalk against Arsenal. I'm joined by Gerard Brown and Paul Tierney for this one. And Gary Spain will be joining us later on as Dundalk go on the attack here on the left-hand side with the ball into the box. It's gonna for a corner, I think. How are we doing, lads?
Good and yourself, Paul?
All good, man. How's
all
yourself?
good. All good. I have a hat and everything because people might be asking why am I wearing a hat indoors. I'm going to be going straight to football training straight after this, so I just said I'd come prepared. Gary Spain will be taking the reins in the second half, so it'll be a bit of a substitution anyway. But yeah, all good. Looking forward to this one. Although the Aviva looks like it's absolutely in bits after that cup final.
Definitely, yeah. The rugby getting the preference again, as usual.
Oh, Sean Hall with a dodgy ball. Paul, you're obviously an Arsenal fan as well as obviously an Irish fan. So give us kind of the lowdown on this Arsenal team and kind of how they're set up. I'll have it coming up on the bottom there as the banner coming up underneath. So there you go. So you can talk us through that team while we watch the game.
Yeah, they're playing a 4-4-2 by the looks of it from the formation what I've seen. There's a lot of players filling in roles that they wouldn't normally play in. Maitland-Niles coming in centre mid. I know he can play there, but he's barely started at all this season, bar in the Europa League. It's a fairly similar team from all the games they played in this competition, bar maybe the first game when they brought on Aubameyang, Lacazette might have started, etc. I mean, I think it's a makeshift side. They've got Smith Rowe and Willock on the wings as well. They're both central players too. So I mean, I don't know what to make of it, but they are already through, so they're probably just giving a few lads a chance. And hopefully they can compete to get in the side on Sunday against Burnley, because, I mean, so far, no one's really stood up in the last few weeks and changes need to be made in the starting 11, so this is their chance. Let's hope they take it.
I suppose it's kind of similar to, the Carabao Cup or something like that, when they don't want to play their full-strength team, but they want to give young lads a run out and see if they can take their opportunity. I just thought it was an interesting fact. Dan McDonnell had tweeted out there about half an hour ago that I think it was the last English player to come on in, or last Premier League team to come to Ireland. The last player who scored, I think, was Harry Kane. It was his first Spurs goal. Was against Rovers in Tala.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Do you think
that's correct? Yeah.
Do you think that someone from Arsenal could perhaps blossom from this game? Good ball.
I think there's a couple of lads who deserve the chance. Your man Emile Smith-Rowe in the midfield, he's a very good player. Had a good season on loan at Huddersfield. Well, a good half season on loan at Huddersfield last year. But yeah, I think Pepe, because he's suspended for that stupid thing he done against Leeds a couple of weeks ago, or even just getting involved in that with Alioski. Like, he's suspended. He'd probably be in the first team if he wasn't suspended. And it's his opportunity to. No, I'm a bit behind. Yeah, it's his opportunity to prove himself and get back into that team after that stupid decision, because he's got ability. We can all see that, but he hasn't really proved it yet. They paid 72 million for him. He's got to start performing to that price tag. So hopefully he can get himself going in this competition. But the thing with this competition is the group stage is always a bit flat. It really kicks off once we get into the next round. So Arsenal are already through. Let's see what we can do from there.
Jer, what do you think Dundalk can do in this game? They've obviously just won the cup there on Sunday after extra time. I'm sure there's a lot of players out there that played in that as well. It could be tired, but I think Filippo's done a good job in terms of rotating the squad. I know he got stick for it because I know he rotated the goalkeeper as well. But do you think that they can maybe even snatch a point here?
Obviously, a point would be a massive boost for them. And as you said, like it's nothing to lose. They're already out. It's the last game. It's the last game of the season, so it's not like as if they even have to worry about and conserving energy for a game in 3 or 4 days, which they've been so used to during this game. It is going to be a tall ask. Like as Paul touched on, it's very identical to the Arsenal team that played at the Emirates back in October. And while Dundalk gave a good account of themselves and were competitive for 40 minutes, but you could see Arsenal just had them players and flitches of class, which you should expect from players who are bursting their guts to try and get into a Premier League team. Like, they should be still head and shoulders above a League of Ireland side. So it still is going to be a tall order. It still is going to be a big ask. They competed quite well at times in this group, particularly the home game against Mold and away to Rapid Vienna. So it would be nice if they can get something from this game, end what has been a topsy-turvy season on the high. And obviously, we all know as well that a point as well financially is huge for the club, and anytime Irish clubs can get extra bit of cash, they would definitely won't refuse to turn it down.
Yeah, just on that, Paul, that comment there, does Arteta have it to get Arsenal back to where they belong? Do you think?
Do they belong there? That's the thing. They've been out of it for a couple of years. There's a lot of good teams in the league at the minute. I mean, I think he's a good manager, but it's still early. He's only coming up to a year in the job. He won the FA Cup. I consider that a successful season. I mean, yeah, but there's more problems at the club than Arteta. Like I heard rumours the other day that the only players he signed in the summer were Gabriel and Thomas Partey, and they've probably been the best two players, to be honest. Well, Gabriel definitely. I don't know if we've seen enough from Thomas Partey. Yeah, I think he needs time. You can't judge it straight away. There's some very poor players on that side. The young players deserve a chance. He needs more time. Like, they're pretty much in the same position as they were last year. So I say give him a chance. That's it. And if it keeps going bad, something will have to change. But I don't think it's been overly his fault that it's gone pretty bad so far.
Yeah, well, I just think it's interesting because Arsenal fans were laughing at Everton for getting Ancelotti because it was a kind of, do Arsenal go for Ancelotti and Everton go for Arteta, big thing going on. I don't think he's done that bad of a job. Like, only a few weeks ago, they battered United. Well, tactically they battered United, and wasn't Roy Keane going mad, but Tim Cahill was on the show kind of praising Arteta for what he had done tactically, and I think a lot of people have given him a lot of praise for what he's done since coming in at Arsenal. So maybe it is a case of he hasn't signed the players, and when he does get the players he wants, he can progress then that way. Because one thing I've noticed with Arsenal is they've got Lacazette and they've got Aubameyang and stuff like that, but they haven't really. I know Lacazette, I think he scored in the last round of games in the Europa League. Was that correct? He scored in the last game against someone.
Rapid Vienna.
Yeah, he got the goal. He got a goal against Rapid Vienna. Yeah, I mean. The thing with Lacazette is, I don't know, he's just very hit and miss. And when he loses confidence for months. It's not a couple of games, it's a couple of months. Whereas Aubameyang, bar this year, has been absolutely fantastic. And he's playing out on the wing. He should be playing down the middle. That's the argument, I mean, if you're getting 22 goals for a team that finishes 8th, you should be playing down the middle. That's it. But look, I mean, it is what it is.
Do you think that's an area of concern as well for Arsenal at the moment? Obviously, the fact Aubameyang's playing on the wing, it's not playing to his strengths, but no goal from open play in the Premier League since he signed that contract. Like, this is a good bit of a goal drought, and as you touched on, like 22 goals last season. He was the joint Golden Boot winner as well the season before. That just underlines, him getting goals is crucial to Arsenal. And even with them stacks full of goals, it still even couldn't get Arsenal in the top 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem with Arsenal last year was they started too slowly under Emery, and then they lost a load of games in the middle of, October, November. They lost to teams like Leicester, who were above them anyway. And if you're losing points like that, you're not going to be anywhere near the top 4. They only started getting going kind of February, March, and then COVID happened. And then when they came back, they were very good as well. I think they're just more of a cup team as well, to be honest. If you look at them when the cup comes around, they're always very confident. Like, all the players, they just believe in themselves. I think getting goals is crucial, but I think you've got to improve at the back as well. Some of the players, you look at Bellerin, I mean, he's more interested in being a vegan than playing football, to be honest, which is the same for a lot of people nowadays. I mean, it's, that's the problem with him. He's more interested in his fashion as well. David Luiz can be very good, but it's in short supply. Mustafi is shocking. I don't know. I don't know what to say about them a lot of the time. Like, I like Kieran Tierney, but he does look a bit lightweight, to be honest, if you look at it overall. He comes up against Adama Traore. He's going to get blitzed. So, I don't know. There's a lot of things you could say. You can keep signing players, but are people going to want to play for Arsenal at the minute? That's the difference.
Yeah, you touched on as well. I kind of agree with you. Like, similar to Man United, even the odd big games and cup competitions, they seem to do quite well. What do you kind of think would be the aim for Arsenal this season? Obviously, top four would have been, but that looks like it's going to be very, very difficult with their current league form. Is it like, as you said, touched on last season, to win another domestic cup? That'd be a bit of success. Or obviously maybe try and win the Europa League, which probably at the moment slightly looks like Arsenal's best route to getting back into the Champions League.
Yeah, I would have said the Europa League from the start, to be honest. I think it's an easier way to qualify. You look at the teams that are in it and they look at the teams that drop into it. I mean, like, there are some strong teams that drop into it, but I wouldn't be afraid of Man United coming into it. We've beaten them already. Beaten them a lot the last while as well. I mean, yeah, I think with Arsenal, the best bet is the Europa League because they're not going to go chasing for it. I think winning the trophy is important every season. It doesn't matter what it is. You look at, I'm just going to bring up Spurs. Spurs are fantastic, but they haven't won a trophy since 2008. Like, that's to sum it up. Like, you know, you look at teams like Newcastle, who are considered a big club as well. They haven't won a major trophy since 1955. I mean, like, that's the difference, you know. Like Arsenal, okay, they went 9 years without winning a trophy. Now they've won 4 FA Cups out of 6, and that counts. That counts. It goes on the honours record. That's it. It hasn't been good enough in the league anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, they're still winning. Like, Arteta's only been there a while. He still won the FA Cup. Like, people seem to forget that. And Arsenal did look. Oh, here he's in now. Is that Nketiah? Go, 1-0.
Right. I'm a bit behind, so I'll see it now in a minute.
Same. I'm watching it on the player, so I have an Arsenal corner in front of me at the moment.
I'm on 11 minutes and 50 seconds here.
Yeah, you're exactly a minute ahead of me. Or an Arsenal throw-in even I have, actually.
Good bit of play, although a bit of a mix-up. Dan Cleary goes to clear. He clips, or Boyle goes to clear, sorry. He clips it over. And Dan Cleary almost gets it off the line, but can't. He just has enough weight on the chip. It was a great goal, great finish.
Yeah, good. Yeah, the good thing about Nketiah is, I got to give it to him, to be fair, he is a very good finisher, and since he did come into the team like a couple of years ago, even I remember his debut, I think he scored twice against Norwich in the League Cup. Like, he's a good player, he's a good finisher. He's probably a better finisher than Lacazette overall, to be honest, if you look at it. But yeah, still very young, probably a bit naive as well. And the way Arsenal plays, well, they always seem to play one striker. Just stick two up there and go for it. Like, a lot of the games they could have gone for it, they probably would have got something out of the last while. So, I mean, yeah, 1-0, good start. And it'd be nice to get full points in the group now. But obviously, you want to see Dundalk maybe come back into it, give Arsenal a bit of a test ahead of a tough game against Burnley on the weekend.
The relegation 6-pointer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the position they're in, you know. And you look at that league at the minute, no one's really dominating it. Anyone can beat anyone. And as that comment that you had up there just before the goal, like, no one fears us. I don't think anyone fears anyone in that league, maybe bar Liverpool and City to an extent. Like, I wouldn't be afraid of Man City. If you go at City, you'll get at them ultimately, like, you know. Liverpool, they're missing a couple of players. Villa did beat them 7-2, you know. And VAR has beaten them a couple of times as well, so we have to mention that.
I think Liverpool, to their credit, you know, they're doing really well with the injuries that they have and suspensions that they've had as well, like managing their squad, and even the reserve players like Kelleher, who's came in and done really well. Jared, just on, obviously you follow Liverpool. I haven't watched Kelleher like for a full game. How has he actually done? Because people obviously go through the highlights or whatever. People talk really well about him, but how has he actually done? Because you would have watched the actual games fully, I'm sure.
Yeah, the only actually full game I watched him was the Ajax game last week. I only seen the highlights of him against Wolves because I don't have Premier Sport or Amazon Prime, and the cup final was on, and so I was actually delighted to watch that because it was a very good game. No, he looks grand. You can see why, like, Klopp's the reason why he brought him in for the Ajax game is, say, like, he wants a ball playing goalkeeper. Obviously, he has a background in playing outfield. He looked comfortable at his feet. Didn't have any fantastic saves to make in that game, but he made a couple of good important saves. He made one right towards the end. It was very similar to that save Alisson had to make against Napoli a couple of years ago. Just the importance of it more so than the difficulty of it. From the highlights I've seen against Wolves as well, yeah, he looked pretty decent. Like, he didn't really have much to do. It was just that can't remember who it was. Wolves just tried to kind of chip him at the far post, but he got back well. But again, he looked good. He looked comfortable with his feet, which is something maybe you couldn't say for Adrian when you think back to that game against Atletico Madrid last year. But yeah, I think like a lot of Liverpool fans in general, I know from listening to the lads in Redmond TV, I think they're just kind of surprised at how quickly he's kind of shot up and how good and comfortable he looks at this level, because a lot of people wrongly or rightly just think back to that game against Villa last year when he conceded 5, and he wasn't totally at fault, I think, for a lot of the goals. So I remember there was just one goal where it took a deflection off Villa player and time might have got to it. Like, but sometimes, like when you're, at the end of the day, like Liverpool had kids playing the back four against a senior Premier League team, so you're always going to shift goals anyway. But no, he looks pretty good. Like the interesting thing is, from an Irish point of view, is more games are going to come from now because he has established himself as Liverpool's number 2. So we're playing Villa in the Cup next month. I imagine he's going to start that. If we get a run in the FA Cup, he'll start 10 games. With Alisson's injury record, there's a good chance he'll even come in for Premier League games. And like come March, like Stephen Kenny could be faced with the dilemma: do I play Kelleher? Yes, he's more younger, but he's got more games on his belt, as opposed to Darren Randolph, who would probably, bar an injury, would be predominantly sitting on the West Ham bench.
Yeah, well, I think that is interesting, because if Kelleher is starting for Liverpool, surely, like experience and all that, Champions League, Premier League games. In my opinion, if he's starting games at that time, I think Kelleher would actually probably be the choice for number 1, especially if Darren's still on the bench for West Ham, because it doesn't look like he's getting in ahead of Fabianski anytime soon, and that's unless he gets an injury, and that's nothing to do with Darren's ability or anything like that. It's just obviously Moyes favours Fabianski, and he is a really good goalkeeper. When he's actually playing for a lower team other than Arsenal, Paul, you would have known from watching for Arsenal. I don't think he coped well with a bigger team, and Arsenal were a bigger team at the time. Obviously, probably not as big anymore because the seasons have gone on and so on. But I think Wenger had said, like, in training he was like the best keeper ever, and when it came to matches he just couldn't deal with the pressure. Would that be right in saying that, Paul, or is that just a myth?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whenever I've seen him playing for Arsenal, it'd always be a bit of a worry for you. I think the best thing with Fabianski was he came in the FA Cup run in 2014 and saved a couple of penalties in the semi-final and helped them beat Hull in the final as well. When he went to Swansea, he was fantastic. I mean, he was up there with the best goalkeepers for the season a couple of times. And now at West Ham, he's been very consistent. I think that's the thing. Like, he's just played better than Randolph, to be honest, and that's why he's ahead of him. That's it. Randolph hasn't really had a chance, bar when he was injured for a bit last year. But yeah, I think Fabianski, he is a good goalkeeper, yeah. But maybe you're right about the sense of playing for that club, particularly at Arsenal at the time where they were kind of challenging for leagues towards the end and kind of throwing it away in certain games. 2-0.
El Neni.
Could be a long night.
So, 18 minutes played just right now, and it's 2-0. I kind of just seen it hitting the net as I adjusted my camera, so I actually didn't see the full goal. So, I'm going to see it now on the replay coming up. Christopher McDonough, who's active in the comments there, just said what a goal. Oh, it was a nice goal. Yeah, oh, peach.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
Scream.
Interestingly, yeah, he actually scored a great goal, like similar to that in the Nou Camp one night when he first joined Arsenal as well. Like the Arsenal were already out, but like, I mean, mate, he's a good shot in his locker. To be fair, he actually hasn't been too bad when he's played this season as well. But again, obviously, he's not the best of players. Like, he's no Gilberto Silva or Patrick Vieira anyway, I would say that much.
Dan McDonald just tweeted, stunning strike from El Neni. That's the type of goal you'd prefer to concede at this level compared to the opener. Because it was a bit of a sloppy goal at the start, which is fair.
Yeah,
the open goal really was self-inflicted, wasn't it? That goal, just nothing you can do. Arsenal kept the ball, were patient for a long time, moved it around, and space opened up, and it was a really, really lovely strike. You can talk all you want about Dundalk's goalkeeping issues. I don't care who's in goals for that. Any goalkeeper would have struggled to save that. Queven Kelleher would have struggled to save that.
Well, I will say Arteta looks magnificent, doesn't he?
Great.
Yeah, I like what he does with his hair. Yeah, I was just going. I really like what he does with his hair.
What do you mean?
Do you see? Yeah, you do.
No, just he always seems to have.
Sorry, go on, Jer.
No, just the way he kind of has the gel or something like that. Always looks very slick and shiny. In fairness, something like he looked like a man that didn't. If he had to avoid getting haircuts during lockdown, he looked like a man who still found a way to look after his hair anyway.
I'll tell you a funny story about Arteta. People watching might find it funny, or they may not. But last time he was actually in Dublin, Everton played Bows in Dalymount. I think it was 2012, 2011. I think Shane Duffy was playing for Everton at the time. That's how long ago it was now. And he was there. I met him that day too. But after the game, the players all, Moyes was still managing. So yeah, it was 2011. And Arteta was playing. This was before he moved to Arsenal. Paul, when did he move to Arsenal?
Season after 2011-2012. So
so that summer. So he basically played his last game against Bows that summer for Everton. And at the end of the game, we were meeting all the players, and they were coming over signing all the autographs or whatever. And I, this is a good play here on the left by Arsenal into the box. Pepe skies it. So the players were all going around doing, signing autographs, getting pictures or whatever. And Arteta was real moany, and he didn't want to do anything. And I started pulling his jumper. So he was wearing this jumper or something, and he went mad at me. He's like, "Don't pull me, don't pull me." I was like, "Oh, sorry." We were all just mad excited, like I was only 21 or something. And yeah, he starts going mad about we pulling him or whatever. And then because he wouldn't get in pictures, we had to literally physically pull him in to get a picture, like a selfie or something. And this is before selfies were even really big. And then eventually he gave in, and then he started getting pictures with everyone, and he got a picture with me, and he just looked so angry. And I think the next day he left and signed for Arsenal. The next day, yeah. Transfer deadline day, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. It was the day after United beat them 8-2, and he just made a load of signings because he had to.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Murder
stacker.
That was
what a goal for the Jordan Flores.
Oh,
get in.
2-1, great goal.
Come on, the town.
On his right foot this time.
Great.
He's a man who knows how to score a goal anyway.
Michael Marnie goes, 21 is too old to be grabbing people, LOL. Look. Great finish, man. Whoa.
Oh, great finish. Very good finish.
So 2-1,
Some
game
striking.
on.
Some striking.
You learnt that at Wigan.
Yeah.
Have you seen the goal yet, Jer?
I haven't. I'm still looking at the build-up play here, unfortunately. I'm a good minute behind yourself, so.
Be worth the wait. They're only kicking off now again. He's 2 goals in 4 games in Europe. He scored that cracker last week against Molde.
Great.
On the town.
Very happy, man, anyway. He could have his own goal of the season competition by the looks of things. He has 3 contenders anyway.
Wouldn't be a bad season for him winning the cup and winning the Puskas.
When do we find out about his Pukas award? It's that January, is it?
Puskas, not Pukas.
Or Pukas, sorry, yeah.
It's usually early
When
January.
the Ballon d'Or is announced, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
usually
usually
early
January, isn't it? Yeah.
I remember watching that goal live against Rovers. I genuinely didn't think it was as good as it was. I think the replay made it look unbelievable at the camera angle.
Yeah, I think it was just the technique and the way he went about it. Like,
yeah, but when in live you didn't actually, see that. The technique. I mean,
but say like that was where were you? Were you in the press box where you that day? So kind of how was your view of it? Like,
I was like at the halfway line looking across, so I wouldn't have had the best. I had the best angle of him actually hitting it, but it looked to me like Manis could have saved it from where I was, sitting. And then when you watch it, it's like a rocket, though, isn't it? So, it's like he hit it with a bat almost. Look at this.
Yeah, right up there with
Mick Killeen says, interesting story on Arteta. In fairness, people can be very demanding looking for selfies. Not surprised celebs get pissed off. I know. Look, I wasn't giving Arteta a stick. By right, he was dead right to tell me not to grab him. But I was just excited. It's not every day the Everton players come over or whatever, or Premier League players come over. Everybody does it as well. So, but yeah. It would get annoying if people were grabbing you. But
were they over for just a one-off game, or is it something a bit like Chelsea a few years ago? They actually made a bit of a training camp and played a few teams.
I think there was a game postponed or something in the Premier League season. Something strange happened, and
Oh,
then
there was. I remember the London riots. So Everton were meant to play Spurs in the opening day of that season, and then the London riots they pulled that game for whatever reason.
I think that was it. So they came over just to play
Yeah.
one more pre-season game against Bowes, and then then they played a couple of days later in the Premier League. But Arteta was gone, and I always say I was the reason that Arteta left Everton. But I was just thinking there because that would have been the last time he was in Dublin, unless Arsenal had been over since.
Or he just came over himself for a night out or a holiday or something.
For the
I wouldn't
crack.
know. Wouldn't
Yeah,
say.
you wouldn't know. Like, I know I was going to say his time at Arsenal might have been over for a Christmas party, but usually Premier League teams when you come over to Dublin for a Christmas party, if they have an Irish connection, I don't think he would have played with any Irish players at Arsenal. Would he, Paul?
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
Not recently anyway.
Who was the last Irish player to play? I know Jordan McAniff is there now, but he's in the youth ranks. But who was the last Irish international to play for Arsenal? Do you know?
I wouldn't go back as far as Niall Quinn, would it? That's probably too much.
Graham Barrett.
Did your man ever get a cap for Ireland? What was his name? Graham Bardish was?
Stack.
Or Graham Stack? No, there was an outfield player as well.
Yeah, Graham Barrett.
Graham Barrett, yeah. Did he ever get a cap for Ireland?
I think he got a cap for Ireland, but I don't think he played for Arsenal that much.
No, if he came on every now and then, all the time in the Premier League, I think that was it. Like,
I think his age. He's Kevin Long's agent. He's Seamus Coleman's, I think, and the Stevens and McLean and a couple of others. So there you go.
that could be one for Gary Spain when he joins us later. The last Ireland international, while playing for Arsenal, would say like.
I'm disappointed in Paul Tierney though because he should know.
Yeah.
God knows, man. God knows. Sure, Arsenal just started signing French players when Wenger came in, so like that's all I remember.
He had a couple of the Graham Stack was a keeper. And Nick Colgan. See which use?
Not sure. I know Graham Stack was anyway, yeah, because he went to Barnet after a while as well. I remember him playing for Barnet anyway.
I think he played a couple of Carabao Cup or Carling Cup at the time, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Someone got broke up there. He's getting a yellow card for Arsenal.
There's a young Irish side, isn't there? He's at Arsenal at the moment. He's on loan with Ipswich, isn't he? Centre back.
Mark McGuinness.
Yeah.
Number 17's been booked for Arsenal. Who's that, Paul?
Cedric.
Cedric, yeah. He looks like he went in for a ball there on Darrell Lee and just collided with him. He hurt himself. Looked like
It's a weird signing, that one, Cedric.
He
Still
was
don't know what
class
he's
for
signing.
Southampton.
Yeah.
He's good, but like it's just a weird signing. Like it's just like, we'll get him. It's like Willian. We'll get him. You know.
Yeah, just anyone who's online there or just joining us, the score is 2-1 to Arsenal. It's in the 28th minute now, and ball's just going out of play in Arsenal's half. But yeah, get your comments in if you have any discussions for us or topics that you'd like us to talk about. Gary Spain will be joining us in around 5 minutes' time as well, and he'll be on then for the rest of the show. Yeah, let's see. There's a couple of comments coming in. Who's he saying? I think he's a good manager. Who's he talking?
I think he. If you go back up, Michael Murney asked, "What do we think of Giovannioli?" I think that's your man answering that.
I don't see that comment by.
It should be 2 above it, I think.
It's not coming up for me. Oh, there it is. Yeah. It's a strange one. Like, a lot of people don't like him. A lot of Dundalk fans don't like him. They think he doesn't know. They think he can't defend corners and stuff. But he did get Dundalk into Europe, and he did win a cup. So you kind of have to give him props for that, considering he's never managed a team before this.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean,
someone's getting a red card here, I think, for Arsenal. An elbow on Macmillan.
This could make things interesting.
Joe Willock. Yellow card.
Game just about to spice up as Gary Spain joins us. You couldn't have timed it better.
Yeah, it's a yellow card, not a red card. Sorry.
Damn it.
He did give him a little smack in the face.
I think with Giovagnoli, I mean, it's actually quite similar to Arteta. He came in, hadn't managed anyone before. Like, we knew who Arteta was. Obviously, he was assistant manager at Man City, which is completely different to running a few summer camps with AC Milan. But which I still think that's an amazing stat, by the way. That's like the UCD lads who do their summer camp in the summer. You know, it's unbelievable. But
Stepping up soccer skills.
yeah, Samba soccer. That's what it was. Milan soccer. But yeah, I mean, he's done well. I mean, in the league they were very inconsistent, but that's because they had so many games and they were rushed together as well. I mean, I think he's done quite well, and he definitely deserved a contract after winning the cup and getting back into Europe, 100%.
Yeah, Cormac O'Brien, who was in the comments there with myself and Gary for the World Cup show the other night. How you doing, Cormac? But he says, can we give Flores an Irish passport? Which is a good shout, but I don't think he has any Irish in him unless he stays in Ireland for a few more years, and then by that stage he's probably going to be like 30 or something. He is an absolute ringer for Pat Hoban as well.
Yeah, he is actually. Never
I
thought.
said that to him before. I said it to Pat, and he was laughing. And he said, I'm not the only one who said it to him before. Here's a one for you, right? Chris Shields, he's 29 years of age, but I think he's been the best player for Dundalk in this European. Like, every time they're playing out from the back or whatever, he's just always an option. I think he actually could be in. You might say I'm mad here, but he could be an option for Stephen Kenny.
Yeah, I think 29 isn't the youngest, but I think maybe age might be slightly against him. All the same, but yeah, I think he's been pretty impressive in his campaign. I think Brian Garton as well has kind of had a pretty decent European campaign. I don't think he's now in the conversation for Stephen Kenny in Ireland and stuff like that. But it could be worth. Shall we stay a long time? Like, it's kind of interesting that maybe he isn't maybe that quite good enough, but there's never kind of any interest floating around for maybe a couple of clubs in England from.
Yeah, but I think at this stage, it's probably because
At this stage, it's probably gone too late from. Like, I kind of be the same opinion for Ireland as well, but. Sure, look, it could be very much easily.
Not for Ireland. I mean, you throw him in there against Qatar and see how he does. Do you know what I mean? I would, because if you think about it, you take James McCarthy out of it and Harry Arthur out of it, they're both injured. You're left with Conor Hourihan and you're left with Josh Cullen for that position. I think that would be right in saying that. I don't think there's anyone really else that you would consider in that position.
But like, it's all well and good to say, like, we bring him in for like the Qatar games and he could probably do a job against Azerbaijan and Luxembourg. But like, if push came to shove and we had a bit of an injury crisis, like, would you be confident and trust him that he could do well against the better teams in the groups like the Portugals and the Serbias?
Yeah, well, I think he'd be surrounded by better players. Not that the dog players are crap, but like, he would be surrounded by better players.
It's a step up, obviously, like, as in the players, yeah.
But he's been playing against, top level European clubs so far. It doesn't look out of place.
That's a good point, yeah.
Do you know? Like, I know this is pretty much a second string Arsenal team, but all the other games he's looked really good. Scored a penalty, stands up when he's needed. He was brilliant against Rovers the other night as well. I know Rovers aren't Ireland level, but they do have some players that would be, hence why they were called up. But I just think he could be another option in there for Stuck. Do you know? I don't think we're going to have as much of an injury crisis or COVID crisis as we did, in the recent games or the recent campaign, because a lovely turn there, Dan Cleary, great ball, and then Flores boots it away. But I didn't think that with the amount of injuries and COVID, I don't think that'll ever happen again. That was crazy, the amount of injuries and cases and positive tests that weren't positive and all that crap, close contacts and all. So we end up with like a heap of our team just completely gone. Again, that's why I think people actually forget that when they go, "Oh, Kenny's this." Kenny hasn't had his first, his strongest team that he would probably like to pick at his disposal once. Yes, so I think we can ultimately judge him when he does, and I do think that the best thing that came out of the campaign was the actual fact that the young lads get to make their cap, so that, as Stephen said himself, it'll hold them in good stead come March and the World Cup qualifiers kick off. So, good save, Rogers. So I think that's the one positive. Like, you think about it, Jason Knight came in, Dara O'Shea, and the two of them probably look like the best things that our best players that we've seen come true for a long time. And obviously, there's Aaron Connolly in there in the mix. Jason Malumbi as well was really good in some games as well. So it shows that a lot of them can come in and do the business too. But I do think that it might not be a bad option to look at someone like Chris Shields, maybe because he's going to be looking at Michael Duffy. It seems, they're still waiting to get the paperwork done, or he would have been in that last squad.
It's in terms of getting him to declare his allegiance to the Republic of Ireland, is it with Michael Duffy?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was done already. Or maybe he just expressed interest in a couple of years ago. Maybe that's when I'm getting mixed up with.
No, he tried to get it done, but it was still taking ages. I think same thing as Aaron McAniff. But McAniff got it sorted.
Yeah.
Just looking through some of the comments there. Cormac is delighted that we remembered him. If you just want to give Cormac a shout out there, lads, feel free.
Man, Cormac, fair play.
Would elite athletes be prioritised with the vaccine? I'm sure they would. I'm sure everyone at that club would do it. I mean, they'd have the best at all the clubs, maybe bar Ireland, but you'd like to think that, before March that they would have it. They would all be vaccinated if it was safe to do so. And then obviously the general public and nurses and everything else would want to be as well, because obviously they're going to be around it a lot more than anybody else. So they would obviously want to be immune to it. But yeah, I'd like to think so. But then what was it? What was it?
I was just saying, just actually in relation to that, because obviously with vaccines rolled out, and obviously there's going to be more interest to see can we get fans back into grounds and everything else. And obviously we want fans in for some of them crucial qualifiers in our campaign. But would it actually be a bad thing if our first game away to Serbia is actually played behind closed doors? Because we know how hostile and how tricky that can be. And I think you should definitely ask the Scotland players, the fact that game was played behind closed doors is a big benefit in helping them get over the line against Serbia. I know obviously, it's great that Irish fans want to go there, but you're going to be outnumbered 7-1 in the stadium. So would you be hopeful that maybe, well, not hopeful, but if it was turned out that game in March, we're still going to have no fans in the stadium, that could be a benefit, given we know what stadiums can be like in Serbia?
I think it will be more of a, how would I put it? It would be more of a case of away fans won't be allowed to go. I still think home fans will be allowed.
Yeah.
I even think
as in what we're seeing.
I even think here now they should be looking at getting fans in now like they're doing in England. I know it's still, maybe it's considered not safe, but it's an outdoor event. It's an outdoor activity. It should be 2,000 to 4,000 Dundalk fans there tonight. There's no reason why there shouldn't be, Like start trialing now and then we can look at March then. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, they did it in Northern Ireland in Windsor Park for the Slovakia game.
Yeah.
They had people go, oh, it's okay. So they had people coming through like this kind of like hut thing, and they would get disinfectant sprayed on them. That's what the video showed anyway. It's like a fella coming in and kind of getting, like, do you ever see Ross from Friends when he goes in to get spray tanned? It was like that, but he gets shot.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was the only way I can kind of explain it, like, to give you a kind of idea. So it's like that, but if they can do it up there, well, I don't see why they couldn't do it anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? It's not exactly a huge stadium. Like, obviously the Viva would have the facilities to do it, I'm sure, if Windsor Park could do it. And then obviously in other countries like Serbia, their national stadium, or at all national stadiums, you'd like to think that they can do it,
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, it'd be interesting.
Sorry, lads, go on.
It'd just be interesting to see what the situation will be with letting fans back in. We obviously presume the league will start back again in February. It would be great if in certain cases that you can't even, like, obviously I know because stadia are smaller, so maybe even if it's only 400 or 500, like, it would just make a bit of a difference. And hopefully by this time next year, we're coming towards the tail end of the season, that won't have an issue with getting crowds into games at all.
I hope, I'd imagine that the League of Ireland season would start before March. I'd love to see, good play there by McAleny. I'd love to see, obviously, the league back with fans back. I think it's vital for the clubs to get the fans back on board as well in the league. So that'd be my I would like to see that first. Then obviously worrying about international teams or whatever. Speaking of which, I got my Shelbourne jersey, the new home jersey, coming tomorrow. The
Mm.
club sent it out today to me.
Good
Lovely
stuff.
top. Lovely jersey. It is lovely.
Yeah, quality. You're not going to get it for Christmas, Paul?
I'll get it when we're allowed back in the ground.
Could be waiting a while, so.
Yeah.
Buy it in the ground.
Yeah, I prefer to buy it in the ground. I'm one of them. I'm a weirdo.
I
Is
remember.
there? Oh, there is a club shop in Talk, yeah.
Oh, great save, Rogers. Yeah, but you bought the red one, didn't you, in the stadium last year?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. But you should be able to go to a game anyway through obviously the channel or whatever.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like that's what I mean. Like when we can go back ourselves, I'll definitely, if they're open, grab one. Then
Yeah. Whose phone keeps going off?
probably mine, is it? Oh.
Zzz, zzz. No Gary Spain yet.
Gary, 6 minutes late. It's not like him to be late.
I had to do an interview with for college a couple of weeks ago, and I just done it with Gary Spain. It's only 5 minutes long. I was just asking about like old clubs in the League of Ireland, like like Drumcondra and stuff, and Cork Hibs, Monaghan, etc. And I mean, the chap is a brain box. He gave me a minute and a half to 2 minutes on each. Just rallied it off like it's not fantastic.
He's a sicko for. I mean that in a good way. Like he's just brilliant. At his,
yeah. It's just the years of going to matches, like, and it just builds up over time. I'd say really wish him visit.
Mm.
Yeah, he's just. I think everybody comes on the channel always says how much they like Gary and what he says. Although sometimes he can be a bit too safe. I think that's what people say. He's a bit afraid to upset people. He wants to keep everyone happy with his opinion. But in terms of his memory and knowledge of things and history, he's very good at that type of stuff. And he always. Bit of a freak for the dates, isn't he? I mean, he always has like stuff up on Facebook and all, like match tickets and all. He's been to like I don't know how many World Cups, and you ask him when he comes on how many World Cup games he's attended. It's a sickening amount.
It's like
he still goes over even if we don't qualify. Same with European Championships as well.
I think that's the way to do it. To be honest, like it's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Not for Gary, but for some people, like. May as well.
Just people were just kind of commenting on the players that we were saying. 3210 hashtag says Knight, Malumbi, O'Shea, Parrott, Connolly, all straight into our first team when fit. And then Cormac says not to mention Collins, who's killing it at Stoke, and Ronan scoring recently for Dundalk. I don't think that's correct because it was Grasshopper Zurich. I'm looking forward to Andrew Omobamidele breaking into Norwich too. That should happen soon. He's been on the bench a couple of times there, so hopefully he gets in. That's another centre back that we can look forward to if he does come true. The insider provider just says, "What's up, Paul? How are you, Rossa?" That's Rossa, lads. Who's new to the group. Michael Marley says, "Who is the best player in the history of the league?" Where's Houlihan?
Yes. Two names came to mind: Wes and Joey and Doe.
Jack Byrne in the argument? Too soon?
Yeah, and again, like
to do, yeah.
Same as the players like Seamus Coleman and Kevin Doherty type of players. Like, how long will he actually end up staying in the league as well? Like, there's he's been linked to a lot of clubs away from Shamrock Rovers.
Well, that's a topic we should probably come on to, is that he's probably played his last game for Shamrock Rovers, Jack. From what it seems, nothing's been confirmed. I haven't heard anything that suggests that he's going to probably sign back. He looks like he's going to be going to either England or abroad. He's kind of said it's going to, he's not in a rush to make a decision, but it has to be the right club. And I think he does have to be clever about his next move in terms of, I would love, and I think I've said it numerous times, I would love the league to be kind of built around him. But the ideal fact is, because we don't have the facilities and we don't have the things needed, I think Richie Sadler hit the nail on the head, just saying, like, for himself to be an Ireland regular, he needs to go somewhere to play at a higher level consistently and test himself against the absolute best that he can at that level, and then obviously work his way to either the Premier League or the highest level possible with whatever club. Someone was saying to me Leeds were in for don't know if that would even suit him, to be honest. But just want to see him go somewhere where they play an attractive brand of football, where the manager's job is secure, and he doesn't go and the manager gets sacked after 2 weeks, and then he's stuck in a team that play 4-5-1, and he's stuck in a defensive midfielder slot, kind of just dropping deep and hitting long balls for the sake of hitting long balls, because that's not his natural game. You look at Shamrock Rovers and the way they play and how influential he was with everything, is just a set piece ability. Go on! He skies it over the bar. Oh, he should have scored. Ball came in from the right by McElhenney here. Great bit of play by himself and Flores. He whips in a lovely right-footed ball, and it kind of, McMillan goes to head it, comes off the back off an arse. Oh, it was actually a great block by Chambers on the replay. So he actually did well to block that. Duffy's corner in, great corner, and it's headed clear. But yeah, Leahy was unlucky not to score there to make it 2-2. Ooh.
Yeah, you have to take them chances when you're an underdog. They're not going to come around too often. Just in relation to Jack Byrne, what you're saying with Richie Sadler, and I agree with you. Like, I think, like, as great as and brilliant as it is having him in the league, and it's fantastic, but like, if he wants to be serious about his Ireland contentions, he probably does need to leave Shamrock Rovers. Do you think from that point of view, like, one of the clubs he's been heavily linked with, or there's a speculation anyway, or how true it is Apwell Nicosia in Cyprus with Mick McCarthy? Like, from an Ireland point of view, would you kind of view that as a sideways move?
No, I would suggest it as a positive move, because they're in Europe more often than not. So you'd be playing in Europe more often than not, regardless of the Cypriot standard. They still, get into Europa League. I'm pretty sure they've been in the Champions League as well. So he's more of a chance there of playing European football than he would with Ireland. Mick McCarthy likes him, picked him with Ireland numerous times. I was watching back an old interview when Jack made his debut against Bulgaria, and he was speaking to the interviewer on Virgin Media, and he was going on about how much he loved Mick and for giving him the chance, and saying that Mick really believed in him, and Mick just told him before his debut, just go out and have fun and enjoy it. Mick seems to be that type of person, and all the players who played under him under that campaign, you just speak so highly of him, of Mick, and his man management, and how he made you feel, and how he gave you confidence, because they came obviously off the back of Martin O'Neill being real kind of horrible, to be honest. But so I think if he went to Cyprus, I think Mick would really take him under his wing, and it could be a good move for him. Again, I think it's sad that he goes away from the League of Ireland without a fee. I would have loved to see a fee being got for him, and kind of a fee then being agreed all the time for our club. So the at least the money comes back into the clubs. It might go into something, whether it's getting better players into the league or whatever. But instead, it always seems to be the case where the clubs need to go back and start from scratch again. And I know Rovers aren't short the money now, because they have, Desmond involved there now. I think he's involved with Celtic as well. So they have money there, but it's just a shame, because that Rovers team, you would have imagined that next season could have went on and done something good in Europe, and obviously with Jack in the team, that could have helped that, because he's an integral part of that team. And even against Ace Milan, he didn't look out of place, did he?
No.
Just this one comment there from the Insider Provider, and it says, who do you think is the next League of Ireland player to break into the senior national squad? I think Liam Scales has an outside shout. He's still young. It's a tough one from the League of Ireland, because there's a lot of young players. There's Ferrugia there as well. He's obviously very good as well. I think it could be Michael Duffy, to be honest. But if you're talking about a young player, then that's a totally different argument. I don't know, lads. What do you think? I'll leave that up.
I've touched on that before when we've done watch-alongs before and stuff like that. I think Darragh Leahy could be someone, doesn't look out of place at under 21 level anyway, playing for Ireland. So he looks like he's someone who's able to make step up, has now experience of playing in European football with Dundalk. I think he definitely is someone who's got a good chance in future ahead of him. He still is only 22 years of age, so I think he's every chance. He's someone I've always talked up for a while, so I'm not going to go away from that.
Paul?
Yeah, well, I think I'd go along with yourselves. You'd be looking at Rovers and Dundalk players more so, just the standard they're at the minute. You've got as you said, Ferrugia, but then you've got Aaron McAniff as well, who was called up to the last one as well, and was kind of unlucky. He's a very good player. You hear the Rovers lads talking about him. You hear Rovers fans talking about him. He's a fantastic player, and he always does the business as well. I think Liam Scales is a good shout, but it will take time, and it's good that he's always involved in the under-21 setup as well. So, I mean, it's a tough one to pick, but you'd be looking between Rovers and Dundalk players at the minute anyway.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But just I'm thinking of kind of younger players that might break through in a couple of years. You just don't know because it just kind of happens that way. It's kind of mad. A lot of them end up kind of going to. Could even be. I would have said, I know he's not playing League of Ireland now because he looks like he's going to be going abroad, but could even be Danny Grant.
Yeah, good shout.
So you never know. I think he's quality as well. Never really got a run out with the under-21s as much because they obviously have Troy and other players in those positions. But it will be interested as well as Jack Byrne, where Danny Grant's next move is again no fee because he's probably just going to go to say Hull. That's what it seems like. But again, it's a bit annoying because there's no fee being. I know they got a fee for Matt Doherty's transfer to Spurs, but still, it's just frustrating for the league because you'd like to see. The only way the league's going to improve is if we get fees for players, and obviously then it can attract either as good a player or better. Obviously, ideally, it would be better, but it's hard to get players the caliber of Jack Byrne. They came back. He kind of came back from England with a bit of a broken. I wouldn't say heart, but broken mentality. I would say he's come out and said himself he just hated it, and Rovers took him back and gave him an opportunity and showed him the love that he needed to get him back to the levels in which he knew he can. He became an Ireland international. I think he's got 4 caps now, and two of them were competitive. So it will be interesting to see where he ends up. I think he can be massively proud of whatever. But he can be massively proud of the fact of what he's done since he's been back. So he'll always have that. No one can ever take away those caps from him. So it's just a shame that, as I say, he probably won't be around for next season and stuff. And I do think that it's a bit sad as well because I think a lot of fans in Ireland didn't get to see the best of him just purely to the fact that COVID stopped people from going to games. I think a lot of people were actually set on going to a lot more games that he was playing in, but just couldn't get to go to the games because you remember at the start of the season the crowds were up and everything like that. But then it just became a case of, obviously nobody could go to games, but people were talking about him all the time. Here he is now, Mr. Spain.
Hail, 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 hail.
Perfect timing.
Hail, hail.
How's it going, lads?
How are you, Gary?
Hi, Gareth, it's Kirk.
There's parties going off in the comments now. Gary's here.
Okay.
Just let him take over. Let him say and do what he wants.
Haircut and all.
So, yeah, has to be done.
Is that why you're late?
Oh, no. I duty to pick up my daughter. So, yeah.
There's another one. We'll let Gary answer this one. Do you think the Irish teams are at fault for not giving their players long-term contracts to be able to get transfer fees in return for their talent? Don't think there's the money, but Gary, you can give your 2 cents on that.
Yeah, you see, it's a tough one. I mean, some clubs, they give 2-3 year contracts and then the player doesn't perform and then they're stuck with the big contracts. So it is a tough one for the clubs. I don't know whether it makes sense to try and get the players to sign the contracts in the summertime and extend it for 18 months or 2.5 years then. But I can see it from the club's point of view that they don't want to be tied down to long-term commitments for a number of players. But then you see the situations like you've probably been discussing with players, really talented players being out of contract at the end of the season and able to move for nothing. So, yeah, I suppose what we probably need is our clubs to be better funded and to be moving from there,
Anything to add, lads? Paul or Jer?
Yeah, I completely agree. With a lot of the clubs as well, they probably aren't able to afford it, as Gary mentioned as well. You look at some of them are semi-professional. I mean, it's probably the best they can offer, to be honest. And yeah, I completely go along with what Gary said there, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the two boys pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Like it's very, very rare, even in the League of Ireland. I've seen obviously a few examples with Pats where you do see a 2-year contract and stuff like that. That obviously is the big killer. And as you were saying, Paul, going back to that's why Jack Byrne now looks like he's going to go on a free because his 2 years are up. Likewise with Danny Grant and stuff like that. And it is a pain in the backside for these clubs because you know that they can cash in, they can make, particularly with Jack Byrne, because there's going to be so much interest. Danny Grant goes on to live up to his promise and potential that he's shown from this season. You know that these clubs can get a good bit of cash from them, and it can just go massively. Not even just to like for them to go funding their team, for them, just even for the day-to-day run of the club, and to get better facilities for the players and underage teams and stuff like that. So it is something that unfortunately there's a lot of roads we have to cross before to improve the league. I would see something like that improve.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. But Gary, I don't know if you've seen any of the first half yet, have you?
No, I haven't seen. I've seen the scores, but I haven't seen a minute of it. So I haven't even seen the goals or anything.
It's been. I know. Look, Arsenal went 2-0 up after about 18 minutes, but I mean, Dundalk came back in with Jordan Flores goal, great strike again. He doesn't score tap-ins, that lad. But yeah, it was just. It's been. I think it's been a fairly even game. Paul, you're an Arsenal fan. You can let me know. Am I just saying that because I'm Irish and I like seeing Dundalk doing well? I don't think Arsenal have really dominated in the first half, although the scoreline probably suggests different.
Yeah, like I mean, both sides have had chances, but Dundalk haven't been dominated at all by Arsenal. They had that chance there right at the end that Chambers got a block on that went over, and even the goal, it was a really quality goal, a lovely move and a great finish. I mean, they haven't been odd at all. There's nothing to be odd about, as we all know. The last few weeks, Arsenal have been very poor in the league, but doing well on Thursday nights. So, I mean, there's nothing to fear there, and it's still a second half to go. It's their last 45 minutes in Europe now, maybe for a while. So they'll come out now, they'll give it their all, and hopefully Arsenal still come away with the result. But it'd be nice to see Dundalk keep going how they are. They're playing very well.
Yeah, I think you would have feared when Arsenal went 2-0 up early on that the floodgates were going to open and this could be a long night and it could end up being 6 or 7. But in fairness to Dundalk, they stuck down. They didn't let the heads drop. Didn't let their confidence go. Got back into that Flores goal. And as I said, like they're unlucky not to equalise just before half time with Darrell Leahy's chance. And they've hung in the game. Arsenal haven't pulled them wide open. Rodgers hasn't had to make that many saves. There hasn't been gilt-edged opportunities missed by Arsenal. They're still in this game and got every chance with 45 minutes to go. And like I said, look, it's the last 45 minutes of the season, so just everything that's in that tank, just let it all out, and you never know what can happen.
Yeah, I would love to see Dundalk get an equaliser and just kind of take the game to Arsenal. Just see, I mean, why not? Why not just have a crack at it? I mean, you've got nothing to lose here,
Yeah.
It'd be unbelievable just to even get a point. I know that sounds like a real defeatist attitude, but it would be like to say you got a point against Arsenal in the Europa League would be something good to say. You might say it's a second string team, and I appreciate that, but
it would be a massive. Yeah, it would be a massive achievement if they could get a draw or get a point, as you say. I mean, it may be a second string Arsenal team. It may not be the vintage Arsenal team of a few years ago, but they're still a top Premier League side. And unfortunately, for most Irish people, the Arsenal names would be more familiar than the Dundalk names. So it would send a message to the many thousands of football fans in the country that would know the Arsenal players and wouldn't necessarily know the Dundalk players if Dundalk could get a result against them. So, yeah, certainly. And why not? I mean, obviously, I haven't seen the first half, but they're certainly still in it looking at the scoreline anyway.
Yeah. Just anyone who's joining us, make sure you give the video a like, either on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you're watching. And don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, to make sure you subscribe to the channel. Just watching here, Rangers are 1-0 up.
I was looking at in the other game in the group, Rapid Vienna are drawing 1-1 with Molde. So that actually will send Molde through. They can even afford a 2-1 defeat, and they'd still go through to the knockout stages.
Rapid Vienna have to win that game by 2 clear goals, isn't it, Gary? Because of the head-to-head.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so they need a
they've
three,
identical
a
goal
3-1
difference
win.
as well. So yeah,
So,
Still
that'd be a
don't think
fair.
Vienna or Mulder are that good.
Yeah, I suppose that would be kind of a bit of a mini upset in that group, considering Molde were the third seeds and Vienna been the second seeds. And we've seen over the last couple of years how good Austrian sides can be in Europe with Salzburg's performances. Even last week against Spurs, acquitted themselves very, very well. So that would be a bit of a mini upset if you want to say it that way.
Yeah, players are just coming out here for the second half. Gary, you watching this on Virgin Media, yeah?
no, I'm actually on BT Sport, so I still have ads.
Have you seen
Um,
Will Dalton? He's on the BT Sport, isn't he?
I seen him earlier. I was going to say it to you.
I've only just put it on, so no, they're actually sure.
He's skipped training tonight to be working at this game. Scumbag. Brian Gatlin's on for Andy Boyle. Half-time change. There's another one
Nice,
for you.
lovely.
Robbie McCourt signed for Sligo.
He's a
Good
good
signing.
signing for them.
Yeah, they also re-signed Romeo Parks as well. So it's been a good bit of business lately for Sligo.
Yeah, well, I will say that I'd be worried if I was a Waterford fan because players are dropping like flies. They don't have a manager. They could well not even be in the Premier Division, but it looks things or have a team at this rate.
Not a lot of nice things being said about them either by the players leaving too.
Yeah, Sam Bone wasn't very happy, was he?
No.
I think he was promised money. I could be wrong in saying that, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But did basically say, he left the club with a sour taste in his mouth. But the fans seem to really like him, Sam Bone at Waterford, and I think they were not happy the fact that he's obviously have to return home to England because he would have liked to play for them. But he had a good relationship with the fans, but despite not liking, I suppose, the club owners or whoever was in charge of his money or wages or whatever. But he's gone back to England now anyway.
Maybe you can see why John Sheridan jumped ship so soon now.
Sure, John Sheridan's jumped ship at
Yeah,
Wigan as well now too. So
Yeah.
maybe that's
Yeah.
They're in an awful situation. They're staring back-to-back relegation in the face, really, aren't they?
yeah.
But he went to
Like
Swindon,
they
which
shouldn't
is
even
same
be in that
owners
division. Yeah.
as Waterford.
Like Wigan, the thing with Wigan is they shouldn't even be in that division. Like they were brilliant last year and then they were thrown out because of this. And Sheffield Wednesday only got deducted points this season for a similar situation. I mean, like there's some things that go on in the game that are just mad.
Did you see Dan Cleary, roasting Pepe there? He's in Ketia. And then gives it away.
Just in terms of Sligo Rovers, like think if you've done the league table from COVID, they would have finished third. They finished fourth as it was anyway. The turnaround was phenomenal. And with them couple of decent signings, and now they got European football next season, could they be potential outsiders for a title challenge, or is just the likes of Dundalk and Rovers that they just really are kind of that good bit ahead of the rest of the league?
No, there's no way Sligo are near them right now. But, I mean, they were relegation candidates for the first how many games?
First 4 games they lost them all. I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, so unless they fix that, they won't be anywhere near the other two. And you got Bowes in that as well.
There's still a big gap as well. I mean, they did it. Don't get me wrong. Sligo did incredibly well to get into Europe, and they deserve their fourth place. But I think they're a long way off. Even the Bows and Dundalk, not to mind the Shamrock Rovers. I know this will not be popular down in Sligo because there's a lot of rivalry between the two Rovers, but
Big time.
They are. I think even in the FAI Cup semi-final, I mean, it was just a different level, and I think Shamrock Rovers beat them comfortably enough. Well, actually, they had to work a bit down in the showgrounds before COVID, but they're still comfortable enough in the league meetings. So I think it's a massive gap from fourth to first, or even to second and third. And Bows and Dundalk will be strengthening as well. But I think if Sligo could get back into Europe again next year, I think that would be considered a successful season.
Big time, yeah. Or even they love winning that FAI Cup. They won it, I think 4 times in the last decade. Like, so even if they were to get their hands on that, it'd be definitely classed as a successful season for 2021.
Well, I'd never ruled them out of the cup. Yeah, they were always in
No.
with a shout.
I think as
I
well as
remember-
that though, you're saying about can they bridge that gap, but like Bows have already strengthened their team. They've just signed Tyreek Wilson. This is fantastic. I mean, Jay, you had him as your left back of the season.
That's right, yeah.
So they've not been messing around, and it's still early days of transfer market. What will be interesting, I think, in that Bows team is what happens with Danny Managerial. Left out for large periods of this season, whether that was discipline or whether that was the fact that Danny Grant and Chris Twardek were really good, who knows? But he just seemed to kind of just fizzle out, and he was involved in the Ireland under-21s and looked sharp or whatever. It seemed like he was just playing for a move. There was obviously that joke that went out of him saying he was hammered or something. They put out as a joke that he was hammered, and he was going mad about it, saying it would ruin his reputation here and that type of thing. And then things just seemed to, he just didn't really play that much after that, and just seemed to be the kind of end of it. And it's mad because he would have said the season before he won Young Player of the Year, and you would have thought he was going to go on and do more. He hardly had a part to play this season.
Yeah, it's weird.
Sorry, Jer, go ahead.
Yeah. It's weird because you touched on Young Player of the Year last year, and he would have been surely the first name you would have put down on Dundalk team sheet to start the season, going from his form last year. And would have been mad, or Bohemian, sorry, would have been mad to see a Bohemians team without Danny Mandrea. But it's weird as well because, as you said, didn't even play that much, but he didn't even seem to be that kind of misses. As we touched on, they had such a phenomenal season. Now, with the form of Twardek has touched on Danny Grant and Andre Wright, and even when Twardek left, Promise Amashare came in and he was fantastic as well. So it's a really kind of strange one. I do think he's going to leave, but as you say, because hasn't played that much, his stock value, we would say, it's kind of gone down. It's a bit of the reputation as well with that tweet that went out before that Dundalk game back in August. It's hard to know really where will he go. As you say, he still gets into the 21 squads and plays, which I found strange given his lack of game time. So it will be interesting to see, will it be a move in Ireland or will it be another move back to England from?
Yeah, just Dundalk on the attack here. Michael Duffy is in the final third after a great bit of play by Chris Shields. He cuts in, gives it a wasteful.
Not a mess of it. Yeah, there's certainly rumours going around that Danny Mandro will be on his way, and well, the ones I've heard, I mean, I don't know. It's only talk. It may be wistful thinking by some fans, but if they're true, he certainly will not be popular in Dalymount if he ends up where the rumours say he'll end up. I'll just leave it at that. So.
I have heard a couple of times that he's been linked with Rovers. Just someone said there in the comments to Cormac, he just said, is it just me or is Paul difficult to hear? I just finding me low. I've moved the mic closer since he said that.
Go on.
I was just going to say, just there's one or two little instance there, but no, just that last statement there was perfectly grand and fine. But I kind of find sometimes my internet reception can be a bit wonky, so I was kind of thinking it might have been that.
Alright, I'll just keep it this close. I just thought it was too close to my mouth. It looks like Dundalk are making a double change here with Mountney and Dan Kelly coming on. So it looks like they're trying to go for it now. I wonder, it looks like Macmillan's down injured, so I wonder who'll go up top with who but now. We'll see what will happen. It looks like he's got a hamstring injury.
John Mountney.
Here's a question for
Good me, old man.
Vidic all day long.
I'd love to have the two of them together. Probably Vidic, to be fair, just because.
Well, the only way you could really actually compare is at the end of their careers.
Yeah.
Van Dijk's
True.
had 2 good seasons. Obviously, this year will be a write-off. I mean, he comes back and he does well and he wins a couple more Premier Leagues or European Cups. Then he's without a shadow of a doubt in the argument. Obviously, hope he doesn't, being an Everton fan. But, if he does, then you have to consider him up there. But I just think last season was ridiculous. The amount of praise and the amount of times people were saying he's the best centre back they've ever seen, and all this crap. Like, there's been so many better players. He had a great season. I'm not denying that, but there's no way that he's the best centre back of all time. Just purely on the fact he hasn't won enough yet. And as I said, I think it should be really considered at the, I suppose, end of his career. Vidic just finished playing. Vidic just won all the things that, he has all the accolades. That's not to say Van Dijk can't get them, but I do think that he needs to do it over more of a longer period and has to have a bit more longevity. Obviously, I did say this season won't count because Pickford fucking smashed into him, like, so.
The one thing I would say, though, is Van Dijk made a far bigger difference to Liverpool. I mean, you could nearly, and I mean, he is a top-class defender and maybe not as good as some of the people are saying with the best ever. But putting him into that Liverpool team made such a difference because it had been a problem position for them. They had a poor defence, and suddenly they go out and sign Van Dijk and they look rock solid at the back, and he is a top quality defender. Vidic, obviously in his prime, was a superb defender. Possibly with better players, I know I'm going to cause controversy with this as well, but better players around him at Manchester United. I mean, that was an all-conquering top Man United side, and they probably wouldn't have been as weakened without Vidic as Liverpool would be without Van Dijk, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, as Paul said, I'd love to have the two of them together because and they would complement each other as well, because Vidic was just a top quality defender, no nonsense. God, won everything, and Van Dijk just that bit of ball playing class beside him. There would have been some combination. But
surely should he not be comparing Rio to Van Dijk then?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, Rio was very much like Van Dijk, and then Vidic was kind of just, I'm an absolute colossus. Like, that's what Vidic was, like, and then he'd grab a goal when he had to because he was just an absolute tank. But I'd go with more so Van Dijk would be with Rio Ferdinand, to be honest.
I'd still have Rio over him for what Rio's done. But again, it's because Rio's career is over. Do you know what I mean? So it's something that it'll only really come into effect when Van Dijk's finished playing. I do think as well. I do think Van Dijk could probably get more respect if he went to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona and finished his career with them and won things. Then he'd probably get a bit more respect. And that's not me disrespecting Liverpool. I just think he would get more respect in that argument for that. That's not to take away what he's won with Liverpool, because they had 2 European Cups, 2 years, won the league, just about lost out on the Premier League as well to Man City. So he has been right up there. Some Liverpool fans might see that different, like, but I'm just saying. I think if he did go to his Real Madrid or a Barca, and only those two clubs, would elevate him that little bit more, I think.
I think Liverpool fans would argue strongly at the moment that they're probably better than both of those two clubs, and would probably.
No, but it's the way everybody else. It's the way everybody else views football. Like that, you have to go to those clubs to be.
Yeah, but I think you look at it in that sense. Like, I heard something the other night. It was like Real Madrid, Barcelona, and then Man United would probably be included in that as well. And like, you'd have to put Liverpool up there. They've won 6 European Cups. I mean. Like, I know Real Madrid have won, is it 13, is it? I think it is.
I think it's 13, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then AC Milan are obviously on 7, like, they're next, So, I mean, like, that sums it up, really, and he's won one of them. So, I mean, yeah, there's actually a comment there that made me laugh. If you haven't seen it yet, Paul, it's actually a good point.
What, Fernando Torres?
Yeah, I mean, like, he's got a point there. He was probably the only player who ever turned Vidic inside out every time he played him. Every time.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah. Vidic got sent off like 3 games in a row against Liverpool.
Yeah. I think twice was because of Torres running at him as well, which is surreal. But,
yeah, he was his bogey player.
Yeah. Torres was unbelievable those 2-3 years, though. Like, and then I think injuries just caught up with him, and he was trying to play through them, and then he just killed himself in the end. Like,
Well, he went to Chelsea and he was a shadow of himself then.
Why did he go to Chelsea though?
I presume it was money. It
It had
was.
to be the money. Sure, Liverpool were struggling at the time as well. Do you remember Roy Hodgson was in charge and Paul Konchesky was playing down the left?
He should have went to Barcelona and Real Madrid.
I don't think he'd go to Real because of the Atletico league.
No,
I know.
he won a Champions League with Chelsea as well. So maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on his Chelsea career, but he certainly wouldn't be remembered as a star with Chelsea.
Yeah, remember the goal in the semi-final when he went around? Was it Valdez? Gary Neville.
Yeah, Gary Neville.
I know they were already going through Chelsea, but that killed it. Like, and Messi missed a penalty that night as well. I remember. Unreal.
I was in Australia when that happened. Jesus.
Yeah, it was Ramirez scored the first goal for Chelsea that night, wasn't it?
Dink, wasn't it?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
He was
it was a good goal.
player. He was a good player, Ramirez.
He was.
He always got important goals as well.
They had Dave Mateo managing, and he won it.
That was, and then they sacked him.
That's right.
A couple of months later. Unreal.
Next season he did, yeah.
Yeah, that's typical Chelsea for you. They never wanted to appoint Di Matteo permanently, but they had no option but to after he won the Champions League. Like.
Arsenal are just bringing Ceballos on for the crack here and someone else.
Yeah. I was just thinking back on Torres, some of the goals he scored for Liverpool. Do you remember when he got against Blackburn?
Sick he was. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. He scored that on my birthday as well.
He was right up there with probably when he was playing for Liverpool in that season when Gerrard was just behind him. He's right up there in the argument for best Premier League striker. I think just those years that he played with Liverpool, he was unbelievable. Ask John Terry.
I remember there was one game at Old Trafford and scored this header, and it was kind of like a Ronaldo header. Now he just hung in the air and buried it in the top corner. Unbelievable.
That's right,
yeah. And they ended up losing, but I remember good old Andy Gray was on commentary. He was going mad about it because of how good it was.
But I think my favourite Torres goal, I think after one of his last ones, was actually ironically was against Chelsea. Remember that time he kind of just used Ivanovic kind of like as a shield, and he just curved the ball around him in past player check. I just thought the way he just used Ivanovic there to kind of get a gauge for the goal was absolutely ridiculous. That goal as well against Sunderland as well in the 09-10 season when he just cut inside the box, that was absolutely ridiculous as well.
Tell you, different times.
Yeah.
Now he's even better.
Yeah, like people, I know like Liverpool never really, they only challenged for the league once back then, but like they were a really, really good side under Benitez, like consistently getting to the latter stage of Champions League, consistently beating top teams, other teams in Europe. It's just a pity that they never really kind of got that consistency together for the league, and then when they did, they still managed to find a way to screw it up that season under Benitez. I think they drew far too many games that season.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the 4-4 of course with Arshavin as well.
Yeah, well, sure. We have to mention that was fantastic, and he turned out to be one of the worst players after that as well. Balogun and Ceballos.
There's a couple of other comments coming in there. There's also 46 people online, so make sure you give the video a like and make sure you're subscribed as well. Just to keep you guys entertained, what would be your greatest 11 of all time? I'm not sure we have enough time.
Jeez, we'll be here. You need a whole Europa League campaign to go through that.
I'll give you one. That here's a free kick by Ceballos. Good save, Gary Rogers. It's gone out for a goal kick. Yeah. I'll give you. So I'll give you a quick one, but I could easily change tomorrow. So I'll go with Buffon in goal.
Yeah.
Between him or Oliver Kahn. Buffon. Right back, Cafu. Centre back, Nesta. Maldini. Roberto Carlos. I'm going to go 4-3-3. Then sitting midfielder, Makelele. In front of him, Zidane. Oh, no, actually, instead of Makelele, I'm going to Pirlo. So Pirlo, Zidane, and Xavi. And then up front, striker, I'd put Cristiano Ronaldo up striker with Henry on the left and Messi on the right. Or you could alternate between Ronaldo and Henry on the left hand side and striker. So if anyone could do something that quick like that, then fire away.
I have one. Remember the Jamie Carragher challenge during the first lockdown where they couldn't have played together and they can't be from the same country and all that. I had a good one from that, but I have to search through my WhatsApp message to get that.
No, just picking an all-time 11.
No, I'm just saying in general from that one, like all-time 11. Oh, just for a bit of for Irishy, Casillas.
Well, goalkeeper in his time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Won everything with Spain. Absolutely everything. And Real Madrid.
Yeah.
I remember one of his best performances.
He wasn't bad health. How is he now?
I think he's all right. He just had to retire.
Yeah.
I remember one of his best games. Go on.
What position are you on?
If we name a goalkeeper, actually, can one of the lads go first? I'm going to, because I'm having an awful brain freeze with this.
I have a couple of players I'd put in already, but I'm not finished yet. I have Buffon in goal. I just love Buffon. I think it's fantastic, unbelievable. For me, just because in Barca's prime, Dani Alves, just loved him, unbelievable player, and still going strong now. And when he went to Juve and all, he was just brilliant. PSG as well. For me, a lot of people...
He could be equal to Cafu, in my opinion, yeah. I think you're bang on there.
Sure, he was captain in Brazil there in the last Copa America. He's 38, and he's running up that line like it's nothing, Great player. Centre half, I only have one centre half, John Terry at the minute. Just for me, colossal. Really, really good for Chelsea. My midfield is Xavi, Pirlo and Iniesta because they're just the best footballers I've ever seen.
No, Zidane.
See, I didn't really see Zidane. I only seen 2006 World Cup.
It's a generational thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then I have Messi and Ronaldo up front at the minute. I'm missing a couple. I'm going to think about it now in the next few minutes. But Messi and Ronaldo, just the goal scoring and some of the things they've done is crazy.
Now, see, this guy knows Bayezid Ali. He says, "You guys are amazing, man. I'm subscribing."
Yes.
He's the one banging in the comments. Fair play, mate. So, Gary, I suppose... Footy Ferrari says, are you watching it on Virgin Media or BT? I think it's 50-50. I'm watching on Virgin Media 2, and I think the lads are watching on BT. And Gareth Murphy keeps on asking about Celtic. Lennon in or out for use? Lennon out, I think. And then he says no interest in Celtic lads. No, we just haven't got to that comment yet. We're still in the middle of waiting on Gary Spain to give his all right 11. So.
Here goes. I'll go with Pat Jennings in goal, super keeper. Cafu, Bobby Moore, Franz Beckenbauer. I play Paolo Maldini left back. I'm going to miss a few as well. I know I'm going to forget people. Oh, goal for Arsenal.
3-1. Willock. Game over, I'd say.
So midfield has to be Johan Cruyff. Who else in midfield?
And what type of midfielder now?
He could play anywhere in midfield. Beautiful passer of the ball, beautiful runner with the ball. Just class player. Probably is a number 8 more than anything else. Could play a 10 as well. Who else in midfield? I'll go with Mane Garrincha of Brazil, and absolutely class player, more of a winger, but could play in midfield. Won the '62 World Cup on his own. Appreciate that's before my time, but who else would I play? I suppose Zidane. Actually, I would play Zidane in midfield. So. 3 up top.
Actually, I just realised something. Now R9 in that striker role.
Yeah. Oops. Well, it has to be Diego Armando Maradona. For me, was the greatest player of all time.
Where would you play him, Gary?
wherever he wants.
Exactly. I mean, you play him in a number 10 role, or you play him wide left, wide right. I mean, he was just unbelievable what he could do with the ball. He was just absolute class. Um, I mean, Pele, I suppose. Although he never did
This is
play in
where
Europe.
do you remember I said it was a generational thing? Like the lads would probably have not like they're obviously how old are you, Jay? 24.
24, yeah.
Yeah, so like 6 years between me and just put players in that time that he might not have seen, and obviously Paul said about Zidane there, yeah, and then you're gone through Cruyff and Maradona and all, who are absolute, like football royalty, and you forget them nearly, and that's why I said my team would easily change tomorrow. I'd pick a whole different 11 that could challenge this team or whatever, but. That's why when you're mentioning players like Pele and Maradona, as well as that, we wouldn't have seen those players. But I know you've actually seen Maradona. How many times did you see him? 4 times live?
I saw him 5 times live, and I saw Cruyff. I saw Cruyff live as well. So
You were blessed, mate. You were blessed.
I never saw Pele live. But
Not that off.
yeah. Well, he did play here in Dublin before my time. He played here in Dublin in 1972 for Santos against the Bohemians in Drumcondra 11. But
so how many positions have you got left?
Oh, what have I left? I've Pele, Maradona, I suppose Messi up top, but I'm leaving out people like Gerd Muller, the Puskas, Di Stefano. I mean, if I had a bit more time, I might come up with a slightly different team, Ronaldo, I left out Ronaldo, Zico.
Yeah.
Who else have I left out? I mean,
Which
George
Pirlo in there.
Pirlo, I left out Pirlo, George Best. I mean, it's
Which Ronaldo?
The current Ronaldo. Although the original Ronaldo was quite a striker as well.
Unbelievable. Romario.
What a player.
Yeah.
Just so many good players. It's who I suppose really. But when you're a kid, who really inspires you and who do you really want to be like and stuff like that. I'm surprised no one actually picked Roy Keane in there, because obviously there was a time where he was class, like, and he would have got into I'll keep playing around with it, where he would have got into some people's world 11 without a shadow of a doubt. Like when he was playing at Man United and they won the treble, he was unreal. And there's also players in there, Del Piero's and all, who probably aren't at that level but are still very good. And that's kind of as well, it's all kind of, it's about balance and who inspires you, and that's why it's such a good question, I suppose, by Yazid. I'm gonna say by Yazid.
I've managed to get my brains together, so I've come up with a quick fire 11. So Casillas, Dani Alves, Nemanja Vidic, Ramos, and I'm going to actually go. And I'm going to go with a bit of another kind of strange one for left back. I put him on that Jamie Carragher team, and just I think to remind people how good he is and still is. David Alaba as well, because he was fucking phenomenal in that position for Bayern Munich. Midfield trio: Pirlo, Xavi, and Iniesta. And yeah, apologies for that. Sorry. And for sure, that's what happens when you talk about great players. And then Messi, Henry, and Ronaldo, the current Ronaldo. Although I do remember as well the original Ronaldo, he wasn't bad in that 2002 World Cup either, was he?
No,
and he came back from so many bad knee injuries and came back and did that, and he was wrote off numerous times. You ever see the scar on his knee and all? It was horrendous.
Yeah.
He was just so good. Like, I think it goes to show, he played United in Man United in a Champions League game. I think it was 0-1 or 0-2. And it was for Real Madrid, so it would have been after the 2002 World Cup, so it was probably 0-2, 0-3. And I think he was wearing number 11 for Real Madrid when he signed for them first. And that's when he scored, and he just was unbelievable. And he got a standing ovation from the United fans at Old Trafford because he was just so good. And forgetting Ronaldinho in there as well, by the way, lads. Standing ovation.
Class player.
Luis Figo as well.
I don't think Figo for me was at the level of Ronaldinho. There was a spell Ronaldinho was at, and Kaká as well. Oh, gee.
Yeah. Kaká was ridiculous as well.
Shevchenko. There's even there's players like Seedorf as well, who I think was absolutely class and never really gets mentioned in those kind of arguments. There's a lot of Dutch players there. I'm sure Gary would have said Van Basten.
Van Basten.
So
I was
many.
just going to say Ruud Gullit, Frank Rijkaard. I mean, Johan Neeskens going back again, but
You're going on about Juventus there. Thinking like you said Del Piero already, but Nedved, Cannavaro, Lilian Thuram, all them boys, unbelievable players.
Thuram class, yeah. And
Yeah,
Thuram
he
was
does-
so good. Thuram was so good that he went from left back, then played centre back for Juventus. When I said Del Piero and I heard you kind of sigh or make a grunt noise, I thought you were like saying how he's like giving out,
No.
saying he's not in that
The
argument.
first thing that pops into my head about Del Piero, and it shouldn't be, but it is that free kick against Rovers that time. Oh, and then he's wearing the Rovers jersey, the picture of that. I mean, I'm not a Rovers fan, but that is just unbelievable. Like.
The image, yeah. He
I think
as well. though-
Ibrahimovic.
No.
not at
don't
that
think-
level. Look, he's a class player,
Yeah.
but not. Yeah.
Just on your kind of thing there, Paul. Do you have to finish yours off? So Jerry's is Casillas in goal. Am I right in saying that, Jer?
That's right, yeah.
And then you have Alves, Ramos, Vidic, Alaba, and then
Yeah.
you had midfield. Who was your midfield again? Sorry.
Pirlo, Xavi, and Iniesta.
Okay, same as Paul's then, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
we are
Gary,
we are the same age.
fair enough, yeah. So who? But them two were Busquets as well as the sit midfielder could be in the
Yeah.
argument too. But
What do you
Gary,
mean, Jer? I'm only 18.
Yeah,
Gary, sorry, Jerry, your strikers then, or did you pick?
I went for the front three of Messi, Henry, and the original Ronaldo.
With Henri on the left, is it?
Henry down the middle.
Oh, the original Ronaldo.
Yeah,
So how would you play?
or
this?
the current Ronaldo. Sorry, current Ronaldo on the wing.
Oh, okay, sorry, I get you. So similar front three to me. It's pretty much the same front three as me, yeah. And then it's mad Irish people picking Henri in their team, but I mean there was that
Yeah.
time at Arsenal where he was unbelievable,
It was ridiculous. That invincible season.
so good. Still prick though, but
Yeah.
Gary, you gave your. Did you give all of yours, Gary?
I didn't. Did I finish it off? I had Maradona.
Go through it all from the start, so we have an idea of your formation.
Yep.
And
You have to keep me honest now. I have to remember what I did
Pat
from the
Jennings,
start. I had Cafu, I had Bobby Moore and Franz Beckenbauer and Paolo Maldini. I had Johan Cruyff in midfield, and I had Zidane. And who else did I? Oh, keep me honest now. Who did I pick?
I just remember you going from Cruyff to Maradona pretty quick.
Oh,
so-
I had Cruyff, Garincha, and Mani Garincha, and Zidane, and then I had Messi, Pele, and Maradona.
4-3-3. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, you're up.
I still haven't picked a striker, but I finished off the defense at Sergio
just pick
Ramos, and I don't know. There's been so many good ones. I have to put in Sergio Ramos and Ashley Cole. I mean, just for me, left back is a tough one, and I think Ashley Cole is just the most consistent left back I've seen anyway. And up front, I'm gonna go right, and you're not gonna believe this, right? I only seen towards the end of Henry at Arsenal, but I'm gonna go for Van Persie for his last season with Arsenal and his first season with United, because he was so good those 2 years. Unbelievable.
I'm just in shock that you've picked Van Persie over so
I wouldn't
many
have
other
Van Persie
strikers
in that
were-
conversation.
I wouldn't
Really?
have even, yeah. But you're an
No,
Arsenal fan, so I can see why you did.
Yeah.
That last year with Arsenal was so bad that year, and he scored some volleys that year, and they went to United and won the league on his own then the year after, and it was like his last 2 years at the top level, so that was it for me anyway.
I disagree that he won the league on his own.
They were. I think he got them to win the league. He was the difference in the 2 seasons where City beat them on all difference, you know.
But single-handedly, I disagree.
No, not single-handedly. Sorry, I should have phrased that better. I think he was the main difference.
Okay. And what were we going to say, though? You're going to say something about, I think, Van Persie. Henry was way better, by the way. But again, it's your opinion. So
yeah, God, yeah. See, like, I'll be honest with you, I only started really getting into football after 2006 Cup, so I'm going off that. Henry was his last season was after that at Arsenal, so I didn't really see it myself. Whereas the Van Persie thing, I watched that whole season, and then obviously seeing him go to United and run amok. Just for me, those two alone puts him in for me. The rest, I mean, Messi and Ronaldo are the best two players I've ever seen. That's it. You know, there's not much else you can go into. The back four is strong as well. So, yeah.
Mick Killeen says, I see 13k are watching on AFTV, but you lads are making more sense. Thanks, Mick.
Thanks, Mick.
Gary,
100%.
Gary, there's a question for you from Mark Delves. When did you see?
Right. Yeah, so I actually I didn't pick Johan Cruyff on the game I saw him live on. Just to explain that, I picked him on what I saw from as a young boy watching the '74 World Cup when on TV. But in 1982, I went with my dad and younger brother to watch Limerick in Europe against AZ Alkmaar. And the night before in Amsterdam, Ajax played Celtic, and Cruyff was with Ajax at the time. Now, it was near the end of his days, and he was actually marked out of the game by a guy called Graham Sinclair, who was a journeyman player and quite a young player at the time. So Cruyff didn't do much that night, but it was another goal. But it was great to see him in the flesh, and he was obviously a legend at Ajax and obviously a Dutch legend as well. But I would be picking him from what I saw on TV, and particularly that '74 World Cup, and winning the European Cups with Ajax as well.
Just as you were saying that there, I think it's Joe Willock, I think, scored that goal.
Yeah.
Number 38.
That's Balogun.
Yeah, he just came on as a sub. Yeah, he scored.
Good finish.
Yeah, it was a good finish. Got a bit, Darryl Lee was playing them all on side though. Lads, I am actually going to have to get off here because I'm expecting a lift now in the next 5 minutes, so I'm going to have to jump off. He just texted me there saying he's outside my lift to football training, so it's been an absolute pleasure. I actually really enjoyed that chat there, especially with the 11. I know tomorrow I'm going to have a totally different 11, but anyone who's just joined us as well, the lads are going to stay on for the rest of the game. I'm going to jump out. We are going to have the rest of our team of the season positions going out from later on today and over the next couple of days as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Lads, I will leave you to it. Gary, you are in charge of all the comments and everything else there. Yourself and Paul should be able to sort it out. Lads, I'll talk to you later, and thanks for having me.
See you later, Paul.
Cheers, Paul. Cheers.
And then there was 3.
Now we're down to 3, and I see Paul Connolly is asking Eric Cantona. None of us mentioned him. Not for me. Class player at Man United, made the difference when he's very good with Leeds as well, obviously, but not at the level of the greatest of all time. I don't know. Maybe Man United fans will disagree. I don't know what you think, lads.
I think you put him in a similar bracket from what I've seen to Ibrahimovic, just being one of those cult figures, like do whatever, but just missing out. Then again, I put Van Persie in my team, so.
Yeah, no,
another interesting one to do would be a bit of a twist to it compared to what best 11 you've actually seen live.
Right. Yeah.
As in you would have seen them in the flesh.
I've seen Messi and Ronaldo live, so I'll leave them both in. They're definitely in. They didn't even play that well, but they're just there.
Yeah, their presence alone.
Yeah, we'll have Ronaldo in Dublin, more than likely in just under a year for the Portugal game next November.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
By the way, one of the comments I'll come on to Bazid's team in a second. One of the comments that we didn't show, and I just want to answer it because I can't answer it, but I'll answer it as best I can, because one of the lads was asking when are the FAI going to put season tickets for the World Cup campaign on sale. So nobody knows yet, and obviously it's the situation with COVID. The FAI, the current season ticket holders, still had one game left on it. Now I believe there's a refund gone on the accounts. I haven't actually checked my account to see if the refund is there, but I imagine if it's limited capacity, which it more than likely will, if any fans are allowed in March, it may be restricted to, I don't know, sponsors and either a ballot or hopefully all season ticket holders in March. But after that, I imagine there might be tickets. I'm hoping we'll have full crowds by September. Now, I'm only guessing. Your guess is as good as mine. But I imagine once the FAI get the okay from the government to have, let's say, large crowds at games, that there will be season tickets on sale, and it's going to be well publicized and everything like that. So, but I don't think there'll be any tickets on sale for March. There may be a chance for existing season ticket holders, sponsors, etc., or some of us to get to the games in March. Who knows how it's going to turn out with this vaccine, but I wouldn't expect to see any tickets on sale until probably midway through next year. I don't know what you think, lads.
How many season ticket holders do we currently have?
It's like 15,000 or something, I think.
Yeah,
is it?
it's something between 12 and 15,000. I don't think there's an exact figure ever given out, but I've seen figures between 12 and 15,000 bandied about. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like if you're able to like socially distance carry out a crowd in the Aviva, say if that March game against Luxembourg, like there's a good chance that you'll be able to get all the season ticket holders in. Like I'm obviously, like yourself, Gary, I'm not too sure about yourself, Paul, but I'm one as well. Like so, obviously,
Yeah,
I'm very hopeful that I get first preference in on the game. So
Yeah, the only problem, the problem is it's not just the season ticket holders. There's also, let's say, sponsors. You have Club Ireland members who have premium seats, and there are, let's say, council members, clubs, and all have calls and tickets. So I think potentially you'd probably need something like 20 to 25,000 to satisfy all of those. Now, having said that, is that a goal back?
Is
Got a
it?
goal back. Sorry, I wasn't watching.
I'm behind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's definitely. I only saw the ball in the net, but it's definitely 4-2.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Just that comment you have up there. That comment you have up there, just when we're watching the goal, he has Philip Lam in this team. For me, I can't believe I've missed Philip Lam. I'm sick I missed Philip Lam. What a player he was.
Yeah.
Who's that with the goal? Is it Sean Hoare, was it? No.
I think it's Sean Hoare. Yeah, is it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, they've handled themselves very well to Dundalk. You got to give it to them.
They would have maintained their record of scoring in 5 of the 6 group games, which isn't a bad return. Like, just shows that they can be competitive and have their moments in this group.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, as was argued, you know, like it's not the strongest of groups, but it's not the weakest either. It's very in between. Who knows what would have happened if they held on to that 1-0 lead in the first game as well? You never know.
Yeah, I think we acknowledge why it's not maybe as strong as group as it was 4 years ago, but this definitely doesn't seem to be as strong as Dundalk team, and certainly don't seem to be as in good form and momentum as they were back then. Like they won the league comfortably enough that season as well. So I suppose you just factor all that into consideration. It was just a good achievement to get here. Like I don't think anyone would have thought last August when they lost 3-0 in that Champions League qualifier out in Budapest that Dundalk could still be playing European football in December.
Yeah, it was an achievement to get through. Yeah. So I'm just looking at the other results, and I see Molde are winning 2-1 in Vienna, so they're obviously going through as well. Rangers are winning 2-0 in Poznan, so they're going to top that group. That's bad news for Paul. And CSK Sofia are beating Roma 3-1. They're already out, but they hadn't even scored a goal in this campaign, and now they're beating Roma 3-1. Some achievement.
Yeah, at least go out with a bang, I suppose. That's the way to say it. Who do you see? Like obviously, from our own invested interest point of view, Paul, you're an Arsenal fan, but our interest in Europa League is going to obviously now die off. But we do have strong teams coming in from the Champions League, obviously, particularly like Ajax, Shakhtar Donetsk, United, Salzburg, just to name a few. Like you already have strong teams there, like Spurs, Leicester, Arsenal, and AC Milan. Who do you see as the favourites for this competition?
But I mean, I think you'd have to look towards Spurs, maybe the way they're playing and the manager they have. They're a very strong side. They just got to stamp out their old losing leads, and then I think they'll be grand. I don't want them to win it, obviously. I think it's I think that would be an absolute disaster for me if Spurs won a trophy, never mind winning the Europa League. But I just the thought of them winning the Champions League that year nearly killed me. But yeah, I mean, I think they've got the strongest setup there, and they've got the strongest manager too. He knows how to do it. He's done it before. He's done it with United. He's done it with Porto as well in 2003. He knows how to do it, and I think you have to put them up there. You look at AC Milan's form this year. Once Zlatan comes back from injury, they're a very strong side. They're top of Serie A by a couple of points as well. They've got to be included. I wouldn't put United up there considering we beat them as well. So, definitely wouldn't put them there. And I mean, with their happy-go-lucky Ole Gunnar Solskjaer manager, you never know what's going to happen there. So, I mean, for me, AC Milan and Spurs may be out front.
Yeah, it depends on how seriously some of these teams take it in the early stages. I mean, Tottenham were in a title race. I mean, are they still top of the league or top two anyway? So they've been playing second string side so far. So I mean, they could come a cropper that way, but you would have to consider them. And it's probably the same names that Paul mentioned. You got to consider Milan. I think Roma have got to be in the mix as well. I don't think you could rule out any of the English teams, even someone like Leicester, who may just suddenly focus on the Europa League and see it as the best route back into Europe, best route into the Champions League. They're capable of beating anyone. Wouldn't rule out the German teams. Bayer Leverkusen are still in it. They had a good run last season as well in the competition. Who else is still in it from I'm trying to think who the other German teams are in it now. But it would be the usual suspects. Obviously, Sevilla are not in it because they're still in the Champions League.
God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So they're not going to win it. I don't see someone like Granada coming through from Spain. I think you probably would need a bit of pedigree, and I think Real Sociedad are going out. So I don't know if there's. I'm trying to remember.
Are they? God,
I think they're
doing very well in the league. I mean, they had a tough group anyway, but
yeah, they're losing to Napoli as it stands. They're losing to Napoli, and AZ Alkmaar are drawing in Rijeka. So as far as I know, that puts Real Sociedad out. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I mean, I wouldn't rule out Benfica either, even though they're coming second in their group, so they could end up with a sticky draw in the next round.
Yeah, they had them dramatic games with Rangers. Where would you put Rangers in this conversation? I think they're going to top the group, so that might give them a better chance of favourable job. I still probably think round of 16. I think them two Benfica games still showed up Rangers' frailties, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they can. I mean, they're doing incredibly well in the Scottish League, but I don't think winning the Europa. I know they got to the final with the UEFA Cup, and was it 2008?
It was offside, is it?
Oh, it's offside. It was offside. Yeah, but I don't. Rangers could maybe get to the last 16, last 8 even, but I can't see them going any further than that. I think there's just sides at a different level to Rangers, and maybe I'm being a bit unfair in mentioning Benfica and that, given that Rangers probably should have beaten them twice and drew with them twice. But I think when it comes to the springtime, I think the likes of Tottenham, etc., Arsenal, whoever, Man United would just be still currently at a different level to them. Not to mind the likes of the Milan and Roma, etc. Probably forgetting an obvious team, Yeah,
it's a tough competition to call. You've got Napoli in there as well. I mean, they're always wide open, but they're capable of beating anyone on their day. It's a tough one to call. You look at the Champions League, and it's probably it's a bit easier to call a team. You look at Bayern, Liverpool, City. I suppose City have to be in the argument, but I don't think they're ever going to win it, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to call, especially this year because the teams are so bloody inconsistent.
The interesting thing is...
It could be PSG, It could be their year. Yeah.
Please no.
Don't say that.
City, If they never won it, them or City, I'd be delighted.
Yeah, well, I hope they don't as well, but I wouldn't rule them out. You know, they just the caliber of players they have with Mbappe and Neymar, etc. They have to be in the mix.
If Neymar
Yeah, I
passed
think
the ball a bit more, they might have more of a chance.
So,
I think the interesting things about the Europa League, like there's an extra knockout round as well. Like so, Champions League round of 16 is really nice because you have the 3-week break in between the two legs, so it's perfect. Like, so you don't really have to worry about that much fixture congestion, which is a rarity this season. But the fact that you have like round of 32, round of 16, and both ties are played 7 days within each other, and league games in between, like that's what's going to be interesting with Spurs and AC Milan. Two teams are in very strong positions to challenge for domestic honours. I remember a few seasons ago under Pochettino that year, Leicester won the league. Spurs in a similar situation, like they were going very hard for the Premier League, and they prioritised that over the Europa League to put out second string sides against Dortmund around the 16. They got well beaten, so I think it'll be the same again this year. Spurs are in a position where we're probably going to finish top 4 in the league. Yeah, it'd be great to win a trophy, but like we can go after the Premier League. The reward of finishing 4th in the Premier League is the same as winning the Europa League, so I think they could look at it that way. I think for AC Milan, it'd be great. It's not often we associate them with winning European titles in the second tier competition, but it'd be just good for them to get back up and to win it as well. And I think someone like Gary, as you said there, Leicester, like they're going strong in the league this year. Okay, they have a couple of silly results like that result against Fulham, but it probably still does, realistically speaking, offer their best chance of getting into Europa League, because you don't need, as you said, Paul, like it's easy when you don't need that mad run of consistency. Like in the knockout stages, you only need to maybe win one tie, and if you win it quite comfortably, then that second leg takes care of itself. So seeing with Leicester last year in the league, like they don't have the consistency to see out a 38-game season. We've already seen glimpses of it this season with some of their up and down results.
Definitely. I think with Leicester last year as well, what killed them was the Christmas period where they played City and Liverpool and got battered by both of them, and then they went out of the League Cup to Villa. That's what killed Leicester last year for me.
Yeah, they weren't the same team after Christmas. Then after that, I mean, they were clear third. They were miles clear of Chelsea and Man United at that stage, and they got reeled in the end.
Do you remember how good Liverpool were on Stephen's Day last year against them? They were really, really good. I think that was one of Liverpool's performances last season. Was that one?
100%, yeah. It's the end of the road for Dundalk for 2020. That's full-time whistle has gone. It's finished 4-2. A respectful defeat, considering this is an Arsenal team littered with quality players that are bursting to try and get into a Premier League side, so they can hold their heads up high. It's been still, I think, a memorable couple of weeks and season for them. Obviously winning the cup on Sunday, so they'll probably now get a bright opportunity to go and celebrate that, because they only had 5 days between that and this game. So that's the way. Hopefully this won't be the annual every 3 or 4 year thing where we see an Irish team in Europe. That this can be now the start of it becoming a little bit more consistent. We are closing that gap. It was 5 years between Rovers and Dundalk, and now Dundalk, it's 4 years between this and their first venture into Europe. So even if it's 3 years next time, at least it shows that it's starting to become more of a regular team.
It does get easier, actually. Well, only for the champions, but with this new third competition, if Shamrock Rovers can win their first game in the Champions League next season, so if they win the first game, then if they lose, they drop down to the Europa League, and if they lose again, they drop down to the Conference. So if they can win the first game and then win one more game, they're actually guaranteed group stage football. Now, the first game should be winnable. Rovers won't be seeded. Dundalk would have been seeded if Dundalk have won the league. But there will be plenty of teams that Rovers are capable of beating first time out in the Champions League. And if they could get a win, then they're only one win away from group stage football, be that in the Europa League. But possibly, I mean, they could keep going for the Champions League, of course. But if they can win their first game and win one more tie, that will be enough for group stage football. So it probably actually gets slightly easier from now on. Although, if you go back to when Rovers and even when Dundalk did it in 2016, there was really kind of, back at that stage, there was kind of one expected win and then one big win. So Rovers, I can't remember who they beat in 2011, but then they had to beat Partizan, which was obviously a big shock to get into the group stages. Dundalk was it the Icelandic team they beat in 2016 when they were
Was,
seeded?
yeah.
And then the big win was against Bate. Now, I know that actually guaranteed them the group stage football. I know they subsequently lost to Legia, but the win over Bate made sure they were guaranteed group stage football, even if it ultimately proved to be in the Europa League. So, whereas this year Dundalk had to get through, they lose in the Champions League and then still had to win 3 rounds, and probably a bit fortunate. Certainly the win in Moldova was incredible. That was a fantastic achievement, and probably very fortunate to end up in a situation where there was still a Faroese team left in the knockout round, and Dundalk were fortunate enough to draw them, and obviously still had to beat them. So
Yeah, I think it
hopefully
was,
a little bit
sorry.
easier next season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just going back to the Rover. I think it was the Estonian team that bet in 2011, that Champions League qualifier.
Rovers, was it?
Yeah. Then they went on to lose to
They lost to
Copenhagen.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then they dropped down into So it was very similar to Rovers' route, or to Dundalk's route, except just obviously they won the Champions League third round qualifier, whereas whereas Rovers lost it and dropped into the Europa League then.
Yeah. I think that comment there actually that you have up, can Ireland get the result? And so I've just been thinking about it the last few minutes. I've nothing to fear with against Serbia. The last time we played them in the qualifiers, okay, they beat us here, but we should have won over there. We were a better team for most of it, and they got 2 goals probably against the run of play. So I mean, I definitely think we could get a result over there. I think that's a really nice group we got there. We could have got a really bad one.
Yeah, I think we could get a. Yeah, sorry, Gerald. Go on.
No, you go on, Gary. You're going.
Yeah.
Just internet connection.
Okay. I think we can get a result there. I mean, Serbia are probably a bit hit and miss, a bit hot and cold. I mean, they lost to Scotland, albeit on penalties, in the playoff, which was a major shock, and then went out and hammered Russia. So it's, but we can. I mean, it certainly is going to help that we're going there with no fans. Of all the places we're going away to, it's certainly next year. It's the most hostile, and I know we'll miss fans and we'll miss away fans giving the team a shout. And I am assuming, I suppose, maybe I'm assuming too much that there'll be no fans. I suppose maybe home fans, but certainly it won't be. I can't imagine it'll be a full house there in March. So it will probably help that they won't have large crowd anyway cheering them on. Yeah, we can go there and get a result. I don't see why we can't. I mean, they will be favourites for it. Yeah, it's a tough group, but we're still in it. We certainly have a good chance of the playoff anyway. So I mean, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I think we can go there and get a result. Sure.
I'm kind of going to be the opposite to you, lads. I kind of put it this way: if we play Serbia in the morning, I'd still fancy Serbia to win. I agree. I think we can get there, get something from it. We, like you touched on, Paul, we do have a bit of recent history with them. With that game in Belgrade, we drew 2-1. We lost 1-0 here in the Aviva. I actually thought we played better in the game in the Aviva against them than we did in Belgrade. I thought we were very fortunate to get a point that night with Darren Murphy's late header. But as you said, they're not great. Like Scotland proved by beating them, albeit with penalties. They're in the Nations League themselves. That win against Russia was their only win. They weren't exactly great. Like, they do have a couple of good players, a lot of good young players coming through. They're at the last European Under-21 championships. But I'm just kind of thinking from, like, as much as they're not kind of great, we have to kind of remember, like, where we're coming from. I know we had all the COVID issues and all the injuries and everything else like that, but, like, we're not exactly barking up trees, full of confidence at the moment, scoring goals. Like Serbia, the fact they're in League B as well, which indicate they're a team of a similar standard to ourselves, and we proved in the Nations League we can't really beat teams that are supposed to have a similar standard to ourselves. The fact we didn't win any of them 6 matches, so I'm a little bit more hope and expectation, but it's a good way to be sometimes. At least you're not giving your hopes up. But yeah, like I said, it's crucial. The only thing I'm afraid of is if we lose that game, we're under a massive pressure then to get a playoff. We probably would have to. Is it head-to-head for the World Cup, Gary, or goal difference?
No, it's normally goal difference with FIFA. So
yeah, so that again is another issue. Like, it probably would expect Serbia to beat the likes of Azerbaijan and Luxembourg more handier than us, because like we don't really have a track record, as the last couple of campaigns have proved, of beating the smaller teams quite comprehensively. So I do think it's vital if we're going to get a playoff spot. We do need to get something from that game. But look, hopefully players, there'll be no injuries, no COVID issues. Everyone will be in good form. Stephen Kenny on full selection. He's due good luck, and hopefully we will get there. But at the moment, I think we have a chance. But at the moment, like I said, if that game was to be played in the morning, I probably would fancy Serbia. Sorry, I don't want to come across as negative. It's nearly Christmas. It's the end of the stream and everything else like that. It's a bad way to end. But your luck, you can, if we go on and win that game, you can hang me in from this message, from this video. Absolutely no problem.
Yeah, recording it now, saving it.
Okay.
Saving it. After that 1-0 win, 90th minute, Shane Duffy winner.
Stephen Kenny can put this video as motivation in the dressing room beforehand.
Hey, lads,
You can
I'm
try.
sorry, I have to jump off there. Sorry, I have to head over to work quickly. So
No worries. Sure, the game is over anyway. So
Okay.
grand. Go on. See you later, lads.
Sure.
Good luck.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. See you in the morning for the rest of the videos.
Okay.
Yes, good.
Thanks,
See
Paul.
you later.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for watching. We're going to sign off now here as well, lads. So talk to you soon.
Take care.